What kind of person grabs a pair of garden shears and slices a dog's leash in broad daylight, sending a terrified pup sprinting into traffic? Let me tell you about the morning my golden retriever, Buddy, and I crossed paths with Lisa Thompson, the HOA tyrant of Willow Grove, and how her unhinged crusade turned our quiet suburb into a battleground. It was one of those crisp spring mornings where the air smells like fresh grass, and the world feels like it's humming along just fine. I was strolling down the main sidewalk of our neighborhood with Buddy, his fluffy tail wagging like a metronome. We'd walked this route every day for 2 years, same path, same leash, same happy dog. Buddy's the kind of dog who'd rather lick you to death than bark, and the neighbors adored him. Kids would run up for pets. Old Mrs. Jenkins from down the street always slipped him treats. Life was good. But that morning, as we rounded the corner by the big oak tree, I heard a front door slam so hard it rattled my nerves. Out stormed Lisa Thompson, our HOA president, clutching something that glinted in the sunlight. Her face was a mask of fury, and she was marching straight for us like a woman possessed. "Stop right there!" she bellowed, her voice bouncing off the tidy lawns and picture-perfect houses. I froze, one hand on Buddy's leash, my brain scrambling to figure out what I'd done wrong. "That dog doesn't belong on this sidewalk," she snapped, pointing a manicured finger at Buddy, who tilted his head in confusion. "Sidewalks are for people, not animals. It's a liability." I blinked, trying to process her words. "Lisa, what are you talking about? We walk here every day. There's no rule against dogs on sidewalks." My voice was calm, but my stomach was starting to knot. A few neighbors poked their heads out, drawn by the commotion. Lisa had been running Willow Grove like her personal kingdom since she took over the HOA 6 months ago, but this was next-level crazy. She whipped out her phone, hitting record with a flourish. "I'm documenting this violation," she said, her eyes gleaming with self-righteous zeal. "The HOA board is revising the sidewalk policy. Dogs tear up community property. This ends now." Buddy, sensing the tension, plopped down at my feet, his big brown eyes darting between us. I tried to step around her, just wanting to get home, when I noticed what she was holding in her other hand, garden shears, the kind you use to trim hedges. My heart skipped a beat. "Lisa, what are those for?" I asked, pulling Buddy closer. Her lips curled into a smile that sent a chill down my spine. "Sometimes," she said, her voice low and deliberate, "you have to take matters into your own hands when people keep breaking the rules." Before I could react, Lisa lunged. In one horrifying motion, she grabbed Buddy's leash and sliced through it with the shears. The nylon snapped with a sickening snip, and Buddy, startled by the noise and sudden freedom, bolted straight into the street. A car was coming too fast, too close. "Buddy!" I screamed, my voice raw as I sprinted after him. Tires screeched, and the driver slammed on the brakes, missing Buddy by inches. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it'd burst as Buddy darted across the road, his ears flat, his eyes wild with fear. Lisa just stood there, arms crossed, the shears dangling from her fingers like a trophy. "Sidewalks are for people," she said, her voice dripping with smug satisfaction. I wanted to scream, to shake her, but I was too focused on Buddy. Thank God for Mrs. Larson across the street. She dropped her gardening gloves and ran after him, coaxing him to safety before he could run farther. Mr. Khan, our neighbor 2 doors down, was already on his phone, shouting for the police. Voices rose around us, angry, incredulous, directed at Lisa, who seemed oblivious to the chaos she'd caused. Willow Grove was one of those neighborhoods where the HOA ruled with an iron fist. When I moved in 2 years ago, I got a binder thicker than a phone book, crammed with rules about everything from fence heights to approved flower pot colors. Most of us figured out how to live with it. Keep your lawn mowed, don't paint your mailbox neon green, and you're fine. But Lisa changed everything. It started small, notes on my door about proper pet containment, her standing on the corner during our walks, eyeballing Buddy's leash like she was measuring it for a crime scene. Last week, she sent an email to every resident about unauthorized animals, in common areas, with a not-so-subtle jab at a large golden dog on the main sidewalk. I ignored it. Buddy was leashed, well-behaved, and I always cleaned up after him. What was her problem? 3 days ago, she'd cornered me outside my house. "Dogs belong in yards, not on public walkways," she'd said, her tone oozing authority. "Next violation means a citation." I nodded, walked away, not wanting to poke the bear. Maybe that was my mistake. Maybe I should have called her out then and there, demanded to see the rules she kept while VYing around like a royal decree. But I never dreamed she'd go this far. Now, as I knelt in the grass, checking Buddy for injuries while Mrs. Larson patted my shoulder, I watched 2 police officers approach Lisa. She was still on the sidewalk, shears in hand, looking like she'd just won an argument. "That's her," Mr. Khan said, pointing. "She cut the leash on purpose and sent the dog into traffic." Lisa's smug grin faltered, replaced by a flash of indignation. "I was protecting our community," she insisted. "Dogs aren't allowed on HOA sidewalks. It's in the bylaws." The female officer, her face stern, eyed the shears. "Ma'am, place those on the ground." Slowly. Lisa huffed but obeyed. "This is absurd. I'm the president of the Willow Grove Homeowners Association. I enforce the rules here." The other officer, a younger guy with a notepad, turned to me. "You the dog's owner? Is he okay?" I swallowed hard, finding my voice. "I'm Sarah Miller. But he's fine, just shaken. She cut his leash out of nowhere. He could have been killed." "It was insane," Mrs. Larson chimed in. "She's been harassing Sarah for weeks about walking Buddy. There's no rule against dogs on sidewalks. My husband was on the board for years." Lisa's voice shot up an octave. "As president, I have the authority to interpret community standards. That dog's a nuisance." The female officer picked up the shears, now EVY Denke. "Ma'am, cutting someone's property and endangering an animal isn't enforcing standards. It's a crime." Then Mr. Ortiz, who lived on the corner, jogged over, phone in hand. "I got it all on VY Dale," he said, handing it to the officers. "I was watering my roses and started recording when I heard her yelling." The cops watched the footage, their faces hardening. Lisa's confidence cracked as she realized she wasn't getting out of this. "This shows you deliberately cutting the leash," the female officer said. "You created a dangerous situation that could have hurt the dog, the owner, or a driver." Lisa switched tactics, her voice trembling with fake fear. "I was defending myself. That dog was aggressive. I felt threatened." Mrs. Larson snorted. "Buddy aggressive? My 5-year-old granddaughter climbs all over him." The younger officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, based on the VY Deo and witness statements, you're under arrest for criminal mischief, reckless endangerment, and animal cruelty." Lisa's jaw dropped. "You can't be serious. I'm enforcing HOA rules." "HOA rules don't trump state law," the officer said, his tone final. "Turn around, hands behind your back." As he cuffed her and read her rights, a crowd gathered, some filming, others whispering. Lisa's face turned beet red. "This is outrageous," she shrieked as they led her to the cruiser. "I'm protecting property values. Dogs ruin our community." Nobody bought it. A few neighbors were petting Buddy, who was happily munching treats from Mrs. Larson. The next day was a blur. I filed a police report, gave a statement, and learned Lisa was facing hefty fines up to Law 2000 for animal cruelty alone, plus more for property destruction and endangerment. She could see jail time, maybe 2 years if the charges stuck. Mr. Ortiz's VY Deo went VY Raul in the neighborhood, shared with the HOA board. By nightfall, they called an emergency meeting. Lisa was out as president, effective immediately. The board sent an apology to me and every pet owner, admitting there was no rule against leashed dogs on sidewalks. They even ordered new signs. "Willow Grove welcomes responsible pet owners." That evening, I sat on my porch with Buddy, watching Lisa slink home from the police station. A notice was taped to her door, her official removal from the board, with a 5-year ban from serving again. Across the street, workers hammered in one of the new pet-friendly signs. Lisa ripped the notice off her door, her hands shaking, her face a mix of rage and disbelief. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Buddy nudged my hand, ready for his evening walk. As we stepped onto the sidewalk, our sidewalk, I couldn't help but smile. Justice has a funny way of barking back.